But as over the last few months, as my apprehension of consciousness has deepened, I'm beginning to see what's really going on, which is something quite different from what people tell us. What's going on is that there is a place inside that one can put one's attention on, and it's a very deep place of singularity, if you want to use that term. And when one learns to live from that place, what happens is that it's hard to explain, but a hole is created in the fabric of the universe, and
the fabric of attention.
Yeah,
Same thing.
And the unified field which underlies space and time is permitted to bleed through, and that is what really what transmission is all about. It's not about. It's not something one does. It's something that one is. One is this whole. This whole follows wherever he goes. And
certainly without that opening, we can't speak even of receiving transmission in a context where there is a teacher, such as myself, who presents them as a paradoxical, unfortunately paradoxical example or offering of that transmission. Because it's inherently contradictory to say it comes from this that has no meaning. And yet, it's my program. This is all my invention that you're partaking of in this room. My cosmic, surrealistic invention. It's very funny. It's a paradox, the paradox of knowing that there's no teacher, but coming out and pretending to teach. And maybe even actually doing so in spite of one's appearance and form. So I want to start with this very beautiful description of opening up a hole. Opening up that place in mind that does away with this entire structural universe and senses something that is completely unified, singular, whole, prior to attention. That must be opened up, and that is essentially, you're correct, that is essentially a succinct description of what the spiritual process is in its most pristine and elegant form. It's that opening. Otherwise, there's no talk about anything making sense once your mind has been opened, once that essence has been accessed, then that's it. Yet, even after that initial opening, one might still be even caught in the flypaper of the mind. There might be a transitory period whereby that opening has been recognized even clearly, and yet there's still not total discernment. And so in that transition phase, my company can be very helpful. Only in that we kind of burn away the edges of whatever's left to burn away. If there's some edge somewhere, some edge in attention, we just sand it down until it's gone. How? Through the transmission power that enters the room from wherever. Whether you call it me or whether you call it that is irrelevant, because me and that are one. I am that. Not that I am that, but I am that. Therefore, only that is. Only that is. That's why I made that little clip I put on the internet. The guru is the self. This is a difficult topic, but what it breaks down to in its paradoxicalness is that the guru is consciousness totally. If that field has permeated from head to toe and everywhere in between, there's no real deviation just by virtue of having a human body from that source consciousness because there's a human form present. Otherwise, by that definition, no human form could ever get enlightened, ever, in the whole nexus of space and time. Because you'd always have to be defining your body-mind at some point. But the body-mind as a definition is irrelevant. The body-mind is irrelevant here. It's more of a devotional standpoint to say that the teacher is the transmission power. It's just a devotional love statement. It carries no more cognitive value or clarification than saying that the teacher is consciousness, and it's consciousness itself that's teaching. See, for the teacher, that distinction no longer forms a problem, although I can't appreciate how people get fooled into thinking someone has power, some individual. That's a fallacy. We have to cut that off completely. There is no individual, and it doesn't go through any area. It's spontaneously arising in all directions. And yet, I must confess to you that there is also the possibility for some to have a one-on-one relationship with me. That is, there would be some kind of similar relationship to what happens in the mind of a meditator, should they engage that path of transcending through their own mind. My form also can be transcended through. This opens up all kinds of problems, I know that. Ethical problems, epistemological problems, ontological problems, problems in physics and physiology, all kinds of problems, because the mind itself is never going to get this. But it's fun to think about these things in an academic sense. We must admit, it's fun to read these books, but they won't give realization, as you know.